Okay, here we are. And there's Pastor Norman. Hey, Pastor Norman.
Well, good evening, good evening. How art thou?
We're doing okay. We're hanging in there. How about you?
Doing great, and hanging
Well,
in there as
good. Good. Good, good, good.
well.
How's your mom? I had her on my mind so much.
Well, she was fussing today because they haven't sent her pain medication.
Is that the same one that you were talking about last time?
Nah, she
It's a
has
different
all
one.
her other medicine. It's just it's a different one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's hard not to have your meds, I tell you.
yep. She's going to see the doctor tomorrow.
Okay, well, very good. Tell her I've been thinking about her, had her on my heart and on my mind. And let's
Sure.
see who's here. Let's see who's here. And let's see. I feel like I've been busy today, but I don't think I have. Let's see. My sister and my brother-in-law are here. Hey, y'all. How you doing? And then there's Dee Dee, Dee Dee and George and Kathy. I don't know where everybody else is, but I guess they'll pop in here eventually. What's the weather like down there? It's been raining up here all day, just about.
What? That's a shocker. It's been sunny here. It's
It's
been a
been
beautiful
raining.
day today.
Mm-hmm.
We had rain since Wednesday of last week. It's been raining and then today it was sunny.
Hey, Kathy. Hey, Pearl.
Miss Pearl, Kathy,
Yeah.
Norman,
Good to
Carl.
have you guys with us today. Let's see, what do I want to do? Do I want to do anything else? Let's see. Thank you, Sissy. She's letting them know they can hear and see us. I forget that every time. I really, really do. Let's do this quick meditative prayer and center ourselves. And hopefully, other people will come in the meantime. I want you to just center yourself. And if you're in a place where not a lot of distractions, that would be great. And it's just a simple prayer. I give thanks to thee, O God, for my existence. I give thanks to thee, O God, for your presence. I give thanks to thee, O God, for this awareness, for the awareness of my existence. And I surrender the illusion of being a personal self. I surrender the illusion of being a personal self. And so it is. And so it is. I heard somebody say that last sentence, I surrender the illusion of being a personal self. I heard someone say our personalities are fictions or fictitious. And yet we think that's who we are many, many times.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey, John Greason's in the house. Hey, John. Glad you're here. Yeah, and that our personalities are fictitious, but we often thought that that was the true us, and it is not. And so a lot of people will say, well, this is just where I am. When they say that, they mean their personality that's been constructed. They think that's who they are. But that, in fact, is just a fiction. It's a fictitious person, and it's not real at all.
Which was
And
created
so,
in the
yeah,
environment, which we came
yeah,
in conditioning.
yeah. So I thought that was interesting when I heard him say it like that. And then I wrote down just some key phrases of what he said. He said, destabilization of the personality structure. There is a process of destabilization of the personality structure. And that, I think, has to do with a lot of the chaos and the challenges that we face. Because it's during those times that we find out who we really are.
Mm-hmm.
And the personality doesn't hold up. The fictitious person doesn't hold up when it all hits the fan. That's the part that just kind of it goes up in smoke.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, like I've heard people say that, if they never had money and then they all of a sudden have come into a lot of money, it changes them. But in actuality, it doesn't change them. It's that was there all the time, and that that situation surfaced it,
Mm-hmm.
made it seen. So I think situations cause a lot of things to surface, so that we'll find out that's not where we are.
Exactly.
So we're still going through the neti process of finding out what we're not, and that gives clarity about what we are, and because you can't always describe what it is that you are, uh, because it has nothing to do. It doesn't reference the personality at all,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's just interesting. Then he said, making major life changes that support the process. So
Hmm.
So those are good triggering
Hmm.
phrases, aren't they?
Read,
Yeah.
read that part again.
Making major life changes that support the process.
So let's take that journey. That's just based on some stuff I've been reading. Because last week we were discussing pretty much the benefits of being enlightened,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
so now in order to make those changes to support that process for a person maybe that's not actually discussing awakening or being enlightened or any spiritual things, what would you say are some of the things that will let a person know that they are enlightened? What how can you tell if you're enlightened?
Hmm. How can you tell if you're not?
Hey, both of those are hey, let's juggle them.
How can you tell if you're not enlightened?
Because again,
Come on, guys. You guys help us out a little
we
bit.
we talk about a lot about the false identity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, one thing that I've shared over and over again concerning my journey of being awakened and enlightened, things that I thought defined who I was, or I've lost. Let's use, for example, money, because you talked about uh, that situation as a scenario. There was a time where I had the drive and so forth of achieving these goals, and the measurement was based off of what our nation present to us as success, the great American dream. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And so of course there's several things that we could use to consider someone being successful: the amount of money that they have, the cars, the look, all those different things. And now I have come to the place where really those things don't even matter to me anymore. It really don't. I mean, it's not like we don't want to be in a place where we say we are financially free or whatever, but I'm those things don't mean as much to me as it did before. And so I see where those have not been a major concern for me. And for others, they may still be. Um, Another thing is I've arrived to this place of peace.
Mm-hmm.
That was one thing that I had a major struggle because every little thing bothered me. Every little thing bothered me.
Your
Now,
everything bothered your personality. Yeah,
exactly,
the
exactly.
fictitious one. Yeah.
So I become pretty much something Apostle Vedro said to me many years ago. Growing up, you got to be like a duck with water on his back,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so forth. And so as I noticed, especially having conversations with you guys, um, I began to observe those things. At one time, I wasn't. I was dealing with a situation of something is going on with me, and I have no clue what's going on. I felt like something was actually wrong.
Mm-hmm.
and
Mhm.
so forth. And but like I said, once started having a discussion, because I felt it strange where again, let's use the arena that I really operate in, and it's the church. All
Yeah.
right. The
Yeah.
religion, that's all I really was exposed to or knew from the
Yeah.
age of 15. All right.
Yeah.
So that it became my lifeline, my so everything, my arena, everything was about that. And so I look forward to doors being open for me to go and preach and do revivals and all these different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I'm at a place where it
And
really
you were busy building that image.
exactly, exactly.
And now you realize it was just that, an image.
Hmm.
Hmm. So I don't know if I can explain what enlightenment is. How do you know if you're enlightened? But awakening has to do with seeing things differently, different than you have always seen. You, you see situations differently. You would not have even recognized that as an image if you were not already awake.
Hmm.
Those that aren't awake don't recognize that is fictitious.
Hmm.
That's one way of saying it. Um, I don't know if I can answer that question. Because I don't think there's a description more so than what Robert says. I like what he said. He said, enlightenment is seeing everyone and everything as one. There are times, though, even though there are times when I don't see everyone and everything as one.
Exactly. Because I was going to say
Being
that.
honest, just being honest and transparent, I fall back into that separatist mindset a lot of times. But then I know when I do that the truth is always still at the forefront.
Hmm.
But it's my
The definition of enlightenment is finding out what you didn't know
yeah,
about your spiritual identity.
yeah, yeah. That's true.
Hmm.
That's true. That's
Hmm.
true. That's true. Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
we call it waking up, but it's really like I didn't know that was there. It's like
yeah. It's
I
like
didn't know that was
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Oh, really?
It's a realization that
Uh
comes over you.
huh.
Mhm, mhm.
It's an aha moment.
It
Hmm.
is. It is. And for some people, it's a big aha.
Some people call it epiphany.
And it's such a dramatic aha for some that they never go back and fall into that separatist mind. But then for others, there's a more it's a more of
It's like
a
it's like
gradual
it's like the
process.
caveman created square wheels, and somebody come along with a round one.
And he's going, ooh, aha.
Oh, I see. I think it's rolling smooth and better. That's enlightenment. It's seeing what you didn't know that was available or was in that particular
Yeah,
arena as
and
being facts and
yeah,
truth.
and Dad taught me this. He did it not in a teaching mode, but just the way he experiences things. Whenever he has a problem or a challenge that needs an answer, it's not when that answer is revealed, not so much by an outside force, not so much by the voice of God or anything like that, but by intuitive wisdom. It just arises. That is awakening.
Hmm.
That is an awakening. So I think awakening can't be, or enlightenment can't be put in a box and say that's a once and for all thing. I think it happens for many times in our lives. And I'll say it like this: we are born again more than one time.
Hmm.
Each time we have that aha, we're born again. We're
Hmm.
not that person that we were before that aha. So
Hmm.
you're a whole different being. So there are many born again
I never thought that when
incidents.
Jesus was born, I never thought about his mother being immaculate or the holy mother of Jesus or the mother of Jesus until it was presented before me. And when it was presented, it like a light when it boom. That is right.
Mhm.
That's the definition of enlightenment.
Now, I want to address what Jill said because this is very, very important. A lot of people don't
Yeah.
realize that what they have, what they think is their personality, is really not. And so I'm just going to read what she said. She said the doctor put her on a medication that would cause her mood swings and irritability. It has caused her to slow down and pay attention to the personality, and it helped her with enlightenment. I
Hmm.
think that's wonderful. A
That's
lot of people, a lot of people have anxiety and they don't know they have anxiety,
hmm
but that's been their normal mode, and so they think that's been the mode they've been in, and they think that's the norm, and it's not. Uh, I understand exactly what she's saying. I really do. I really do.
and the reason why I presented that question, again, um, just recently, I had to help one understand some things that they were dealing with and going through. Because again, we know that the ultimate source of a lot of our sufferings is the misidentification of who or what we are.
Mm-hmm.
I agree
Mm-hmm.
with that.
And so I was explaining to them to help them understand that they were dealing with some silent stress. All right, because again, we know that stress is the unseen killer. All right,
Yeah.
from medical field. And so I was able to help them to understand that. And the reason why I asked that question because when when we began this and when or should I say when y'all initiated this during the time of the pandemic, and I believe our first topic was divine guidance. We was
Yeah,
talking
it
about
was. That's when
divine
we did the impromptu. Yeah, we had impromptu. Mm-hmm.
exactly. We was
Mm-hmm.
talking about divine guidance, and so I know those that have been the audience that's been consistent, um, in the conversation coming to this life lesson class, and so they pretty much got pretty much the gist of it all. But now we have another remnant of
New
people
people. Yes.
that is
Mhm.
actually on that spiritual journey, not religious journey, but on that spiritual journey. And one of the things in the studies, one of the things that I found out, well, which was said, that one of the possible benefits of a person being enlightened is to help someone else in their process of enlightenment as well. And so that's why I put that question out there today to see what everybody would say. What I mean, it's not one particular or five.
Right.
It's several
Right.
things,
Yeah.
but I
You know,
wanted some things to be mentioned so that others can understand. Hey,
yeah.
I didn't even know I actually had an aha moment and didn't even
Right.
know it.
Right. Right.
Another definition is when you just said it, I didn't even know. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even
Mm-hmm.
see it.
Mm-hmm.
I was not aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Really happened? You mean
Mm-hmm.
that's the way it was?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? That's enlightenment. That's the expression of it.
And it is. It is. It is. And I have to say this too that initially when I don't want to call it enlightenment anymore, but I'll say it like that. When I had my aha
Hmm.
moment, and I have to see it's kind of hard for me to say it was one moment because for us it started way back, way back. Um, and it wasn't just one significant thing that happened. It was a series of things that happened. But I have to say that when I came into that piece that you mentioned, all of a sudden I didn't have to perform. All of a sudden I didn't have to prove anything to anybody. I didn't have to be a certain kind of person when I entered the room. I didn't have to get everybody's attention or those kinds of things.
Hmm.
Uh, I didn't have a desire to talk to anybody about it, and I
Hmm.
sometimes still don't. Um, because what I found now, this is just for me, not for everyone, but what I found is when I interact with people on a human level, just in a way of kindness, loving, acceptance, not judging them, it opens them up. And I don't have to say anything about any of this, but it
Mhm.
opens them up. And we have this camaraderie that takes place.
Mhm.
Total strangers, just a camaraderie we have. And there is where I experience what Robert said, is seeing everyone and everyone, everything as one. That's when I recognize that there is the one.
Mhm.
And so it's not, I don't have an urge to go talk to people about it, uh,
Exactly.
most times. But I like interacting with them and seeing them. You remember in the movie Avatar, they had a saying, I see you.
I
And
see.
dad says it all the time. I see
Mhm.
you. When you really see a person and they really see you, not the personality, not the fictitious one that's, you know, one that we say I'm always a jolly person or I'm always melancholy. Not that being, but the actual essence of who you are, which is nothing more than God itself. They
Mhm.
open up, their hearts open up.
Mhm.
I recall at the grocery store one day I was in there and I had had a really stressful day. I don't remember what was happening. I had a stressful day and I had to get me some chocolate. I needed me a little bit of chocolate.
Oh
So
yeah.
I went to the register and the lady that was cashier, she was a cashier and she was a very stoic person. She didn't have a lot of, she wasn't impolite, but she wasn't really overly friendly either. And I was trying to talk to her a little bit, but wasn't responding. And she asked me if I wanted to put the candy in the bag. I said, "Oh no, I need a shot." When I said that, she lit up. And she started laughing. She said, "Well, I need one too." So it was just something that simple that
Mhm.
opened her up. So it's not always, I'm going to tell you who you are and who that I see Jesus in you, I see Christ in you. You don't have to say that all the time
Mhm.
to get to people's heart. And so
Exactly.
before I left, when she checked out my groceries, she said, "Please come back because I just feel so much better because you were here." That's
Wow.
all. That's all you want to do is to lift the burdens,
Mhm.
make life a little lighter. That to me, that's what enlightenment is. It's making life a little lighter.
Mhm.
So that's the best way I can explain it.
And you mentioned something there, because I think of I would say one of the signs, that's the best way I could say. One of the signs of being awake and enlightened and being one, understanding your oneness, you show compassion at a
Yeah.
level
Yes.
for all
That.
things, not for everyone and for all things, God creation, everything. And
Mhm,
so that
mhm,
brings up the point of being kind, because you mentioned it just now, and I smiled. I lit up when you said it because it was something I've been sharing the past 2 weeks concerning the Shunammite woman in Second Kings chapter 4, beginning at verse
mhm,
8,
mhm,
when she was being kind to the prophet Elisha, that every time he would come into the city of Shunammah, she would
mhm.
invite him to come and have dinner um, with
Yeah.
her and her husband. Now, the way we've heard it and presented to us before, if you go back and really read it and take your time, you will discover that she was being kind to him, not knowing in the
Mm,
beginning that he was a prophet.
mm, mm,
She was just being kind to him. And later on, the
mm.
scripture says that she perceived, she said to her husband, I perceive this to be a man of God. Can we create the room? And so,
Yeah.
because I've been talking about reviving promises. And one of the things that I noticed with her, there was a blessing that was released to her from the prophet Elisha, because he had asked his servant Gehazi, what can we do for her being so kind to us and taking care of us? Or what can we do? And so it was funny to me when Gehazi said to Elisha the second time, I noticed that she doesn't have a child
Mm-hmm.
and her husband is old. So now
Mm-hmm.
that thing hit me in a different way, and I ministered from that passage of scripture so many times before, but it hit me in a whole different way. You're presenting to this man, he just saying, I want to be able to reciprocate back
Yeah.
to her
Yeah. Yeah.
a blessing for being kind to us. And you're
Yeah.
going to tell me that she don't have a child. What am I supposed to do about that? You see what I mean? And then tell me her husband is old, and we know, according to biblical interpretation, anytime that is presented that way, that means that man is either beyond the ability to produce or he's impotent.
Mm-hmm.
So the Lord had me to look at that thing a whole different way because she really wasn't asking for nothing from them. She,
Right.
matter of fact, cut them down. I'm good. Da 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 da. But there was something initiated in the universe that I saw. There is a law, and it's the law of reciprocity. That
Mm-hmm.
when we show acts of kindness to people, and we are really just doing it because of who we are, it automatically
Yeah. Yeah.
initiates the reciprocity back. So it's not that you don't have to use your faith, you don't have to go into prayer, just by being kind and
Yeah.
showing
Yeah.
compassion to everything that God has created, it initiates that law. And we
That's
call
true.
it the
That
law
is
of
so
correlation.
so true. Because and that's true even on a little small level. Like when I talked about the lady, the cashier, and she said, "Please come back because you made me feel so
Mm-hmm.
much better." When she said that to me, I felt better. So
Mm-hmm.
it was reciprocated immediately. Yeah.
And that blessed me to see that because see sometimes we'll go to the place of trying to make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, in the religious arena, sow them seeds now, sow them seeds, and so forth. And it is one of the simplest things that you could do is just be kind.
Yes. Yes. And we were talking about that Sunday. That's a part of the practice. Some of us in our fictitious self may not be kind,
Mm-hmm.
but in our essence we are. I'll give you another example. For instance, my daddy said this about me. I don't know if it's true or not, but he said that he always called me stuck up. And so, but I understand in a way. I understand in a way why he said it, even though in my insides I didn't feel like I felt better, like I was better than anybody else. But in my thinking, in my fictitious self, I've never been the kind. My fictitious personality was never the kind of person that would infringe on another person's space. Uh, in other words, some people don't ever meet a stranger. I was not that in my fictitious self. I now, however, am totally opposite because that is not my fictitious. I don't live by my fictitious self anymore, and
Mm-hmm.
so I tend to be more open with people that I don't know. Now, Dad is going to think he's going to say that's not true, but it is true. But he's not with me
Why you
24/7.
looking at her like that?
I
He's
am
not
with her.
with me
Yes, I
24/7.
am.
No, you're not.
Mm.
You don't see me when I do those things, do you?
Mhm.
Because when we're together, you're the one that's always talking with people, and I don't see anything.
Mhm.
Okay.
Now, it is so funny that you said that because that was one of the things that I had also mentioned, giving them nuggets and key points. Because in the book of Hebrews, it tells us, because remember, and I was talking about the Shunammite woman, and then I
Mm-hmm.
saw it in the book of Hebrews, it says, be careful how we entertain strangers,
Yes.
because we could
Yeah.
be actually entertaining angels unaware.
Unaware.
And
Yeah.
there are several areas in scripture where actually that had actually happened. And so, like you said, Dad don't meet a stranger. Dad just
So,
talks and he's
he,
social. I mean,
he
he'll start talking to a person like he done known them for 20
Lord,
years.
he talked to everybody like they slept with him last night.
They did
Oh my God. Oh my God. And I have to admit, he's helped me to come out of that a little bit.
a
Um,
little bit.
yeah, because you are so outgoing, so outgoing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and in my fictitious self, I was more introverted.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's a good point to bring up. Um, and the reason why, because again, I've moved into this place where I got all these people who ask me to be their mentor. I mean, this ain't got nothing to do with church now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess you could say of course y'all know I do the marriage counseling thing, but now I'm getting into the area of really almost coaching people dealing with relationships. All
It's
right.
broadening out. It's broadening. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Hmm.
and so that's one of the things that I always pinpoint to let them know, other than just the various differences. Each one of us probably was brought up in a different environment,
Hmm.
different cultures, and so forth and so on, that kind of shape our behavior. But I noticed that you said that, okay, dad is very outgoing.
I
You,
don't have to be when Dad's with me because he's gonna take it over. So I
Mhm,
just kind of ride along with him and just let him go.
mhm.
I
So,
can't
so,
compete with that. I can't compete with that.
but the thing is, in the beginning, did it cause a negative emotion to arise, or did you had to make the adjustments,
And
or
after I had my
whatever?
ahas, did I have to? Yes, it caused, well, more specifically, it caused a problem because we were churched and we were preachers and we were pastors. And that's a very judgmental role. And so,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to reconcile in my brain how to be non judgmental and still do that job.
Mm-hmm.
It was really a hard time. It was a hard thing to do. And then to come to the place to know that I'm not doing anything to get to heaven because heaven is who I am and inside of me. That is another, uh, it caused a lot of cognitive dissonance. That's what I call it. Cognitive dissonance. It's
Mm-hmm.
like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I was trying to reconcile everything that I had lived by with what I'm now intuitively realizing. And so, yes, it caused some challenge. It caused some upheaval in my emotional state. Yeah.
And see, I'm glad. See, this is good. I'm loving this, because that's one of the things that that you hear, people that are not churched, they,
Hmm.
they will make the statement concerning people that's in church that they are the meanest people in the world.
Hmm. Hmm. There's a scripture in Hebrews 10, and I remembered it when you were talking. Hebrews 10:32. He says, I call to remembrance the former days in which, after you were illuminated, you
Mm-hmm.
endured a great fight of afflictions.
Listen, yes,
Yeah.
yes. To
And
the
that's
point that
pretty
you
much,
became a gazing stock. Everybody was watching your suffering. Yep. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And not only that, uh, it was it was actually the things that I thought I was surfacing, and I realized that, like you said, that is not who I am. That image that I was trying to build and preserve and enhance, that image was standing out like a sore thumb, and uh, I knew then that it was phony.
Mm-hmm.
It was phony. It was what I wanted the world to see
Mm-hmm.
about me. So it change is that's changed in the sense that when I am meeting another, I'm not so much worried about what they think of me, so I focus more attention on them. And so it helps to do that. I remember Robert, when we were in the brick and mortar, was with us for a while, and he introduced us to Ho'oponopono, the Hawaiian religion,
Mm-hmm.
uh, spirituality. And it was all about forgiving and accepting and realizing that everything that's presented to me is there for me to forgive it. And so that's why I say it wasn't a one time experience for me.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't. Now there wasn't an initial experience, but that was when I was just born again, saved in the church, in the confines of religion.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when I did that, when I was in that mirror gaze. And then now I realize that's actually a spiritual exercise that I didn't know. I was
Mm-hmm.
just very vain and I stayed in the mirror a lot. What's going on, Pastor Norman?
All let's know it must be an airplane. I'm trying to figure out what's that
We
noise.
can't hear it, so it's okay. Yeah, so back way, I guess maybe I don't even know if it was a year after I had my initial salvation experience in the confines of religion. I was always very vain, so I was in the mirror constantly trying to work on my body, my face, my hair, whatever. And it was there that I had the initial encounter that woke me up, really woke me up. And you've heard me talk about it before, where I had my face transfigured. All of a sudden, I was looking at my eyes, and when I looked at my eyes, there was a being looking back at me.
Mm,
And that being looking back at me was me, but it wasn't me. And it said, I am your eyes, your eyes are my eyes, your mouth is my mouth, and so on and so on. And so it was at that point that I realized there's more here than just this body. There's
mhm,
more here than just a me that's trying to be this in front of everybody else. And I realized that that was hidden inside. I had covered it with a phony image.
mhm,
So that's where it began for me. Now there were other issues, other things that happened that caused me
So
to
the
say,
definition of enlightenment was finding out.
mhm. That's good. That's good.
mhm.
That's a simple term definition of it. Finding
Yes,
out.
yes,
That's good.
yes.
Yet finding out, knowing that comes with or without information.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yes, yes. Now,
I'm
now,
gonna ask.
That
yeah,
is.
I didn't know I was that way. Yeah, yeah,
But you do now.
yeah.
I'll tell you in a minute too.
Oh, okay. Jill says it must be an enlightening journey, and we may have only scratched the surface. I think
I,
so.
I believe that. I do
Yeah,
believe that.
yeah.
I do believe it's I don't believe that we actually ever reach well till the best way I can say it, till that finality or final day or whatever, however you want to word it.
I don't think there is a final day. See, that I had to accept that too,
Hmm.
that there isn't really a final day because the final day is when that one is looking for a final day is gone.
Exactly.
It
Exactly.
disappears.
That's right.
Over time, it's disappeared.
And
It's no
understand
longer,
that
there's
we
no longer a me here looking for a final day.
exactly understand that we're all eternal, no matter what.
Hmm.
So there's
There
no
was
finality.
Hmm.
there's a song by a group years ago called Ruby and the Romantics, and part of that song was "One Fine Day."
One fine day,
You'll
you're
look,
gonna
you'll
stop,
look
stop
for
for
me.
me.
One fine
Okay,
day.
I know so yeah,
I
Yeah,
don't remember the
I
words.
remember the Ruby and the Romantics.
of
Yeah,
course
what about?
that's
I
way
played
before
that
my time.
Yes, it was
was
When I
way.
heard the
That
song,
was way, way, way before your time. So one fine day you're gonna love me.
mhm.
Gosh, I can't remember this word.
She said she didn't like me when she first saw me.
I didn't. I
in
didn't.
most cases that again doing all these in most
She don't.
cases that I've heard that same thing. No interest wasn't even
When
right.
I met her when we was about 5, 6, or 7 in the neighborhood, she didn't like me then.
Oh, y'all grew up in the same
I didn't
neighborhood?
even. I didn't
Well,
even know who you were.
she didn't know who I was, and I didn't know who she was. But I remember seeing her and talking, hearing her talking to a friend in the neighborhood where we lived close to each other about, and I knew then after I met her again to date, I remember who she was in the neighborhood,
Hmm.
and she
I
was
didn't know
a
that.
Mrs. Chitlins in a steak plate.
Wow.
during that time. She was very opinionated during that time, but she don't remember her being like that. But I met her in the neighborhood because
So
when
she
she
was religious back then?
no, she
No.
used to come through a path or a field where my uncle had a goat tied, and my goat used to chase her and her brother when they went across that yard to the neighborhood store. And I was there when they used to come through that area, so I saw her quite a few times when we were growing up in the neighborhood that we lived in. But I never thought that I would see her again. That enlightenment reveals to me, or that information revealed to me, that God was working in both of our lives all during that time, up to 22 years that I remember. And when I saw her again, and she said she lived in a certain house, it dawned on me, and she mentioned about the goat, and that's true. So I did meet her and her brother going
Wow.
to the neighborhood store,
Hmm.
and I still keep meeting her. But I'll tell everybody,
Yeah, we're 55 years and we were still meeting each other.
I'm still meeting you. I told her
Oh,
about it in the church, Pastor Norman. That I said, "You see this lady sitting here beside me? She's
I
my
know,
wife,
I know.
but I sleep with her. That's what I tell her about. I sleep with her. She sleep with me.
see, see, that see, that is so funny because, like, using that statement right there. Okay, you already introduced that. That is your wife,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I sleep with her.
Yeah,
Now,
Mhm.
what if
pe-
somebody came in?
people
They didn't hear the first part.
exactly. So, but
That's
somebody,
good.
that's what I said. People with a religious mindset will be ready to stone
Oh,
you. Really, just ready to stone you,
yeah. What if they just
excommunicate you,
what,
and and it's all true.
yeah,
It's
but
true.
what if they just tuned in and they didn't hear that first part?
Too bad.
They would think we were just shacking up.
Then sometime I tell her, I say, look, I got papers on
But
you.
see, Dad has less of a filter than I do. He he
Mhm.
he has very little filter when it comes to what he wants to say. But it's all because of how he experienced life before he got to me.
And you did before I got to you.
Hmm.
We would
Uh,
say how he's
uh,
wired.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But it's still a fictitious self, though.
she thinks so.
Yeah, it is. It
So
is.
I'm not really married to you then.
What's
It's
that?
it's fictitious.
Now, where you get that?
Yeah, it's fictitious
How did
there.
you work that
Two
in there? You work
fictitiousness,
that in there?
two fictitiousness got together to
Two
enhance it.
fictitiousness.
Too fictitious.
Dennis, you are nuts.
Two fictitiousness met two
Fictitiousness.
Well,
fictitiousness self.
anybody that stays around us for any length of time can tell we're just totally different as night and day.
Mhm.
But for some reason, we complement one another,
Mhm.
and that's because we're twin flames.
So we're both
I
silly.
I think in another life we must have been Siamese twins.
No, I ain't going to.
So, so, a-
Uh-uh.
and I've
John
heard
Reese, you hear
this
that, don't you?
mentioned before. Y'all being twin flames.
Yeah.
Um, you didn't know that in the beginning, right?
No,
No, what?
That
that
y'all
we're
were
twin
twin
flames.
flames.
Mm-mm.
Still don't know it.
So, so in y'all process of being together, being married, evolution, however you want to put it, what 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 caused you to see finally that y'all were twin flames?
So,
Tracing things back, experiencing synchronicities,
yeah.
and it was revealed through divine insight, revelation, the terminology twin flame. We never heard of it from the beginning, twin flame.
Right.
And then as we investigated more into this spirituality of enlightenment, union with Christ, and all that stuff, it was the culmination of events and things that took place that causes us to see and verify
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
definition of what a true twin flame look like.
One of the reasons why, that it dawned on me that we were, I didn't hear the term twin flame like Dad said for a long, long time, but it dawned on me that our our trajectory in this lifetime is the same. And so it isn't so much that we try to stay in agreement. It's not so much that we try to work together, that we didn't come up with the idea, well, let's do this together. It wasn't like that. It just automatically happens that way. It's like it's not just it's not something we made up in our minds to do. I want my husband to be with me in the ministry, or I want my wife to be with me in the
No, it
ministry. It
didn't work
wasn't
like that.
like that.
Oh
Uh,
my God, you preaching now. You preaching now. This is
yeah, it wasn't like that. It was just, that's just the way we are. And
She used to work for me when I had my upholstery business. She helped me get a home occupation permit to do business and tax. And she was working for me, and I fired her.
I think he likes to pick at me too.
yeah, I hear you
I
trying.
think I think he tries to make people think I'm a certain kind of being.
She is a being, a butter bean. She's a butter bean being,
So
a pinto bean
the twin flame
being.
thing is different from soulmates. Soulmates may not have the same trajectory or purpose at all, but and it may not even be a romantic relationship. It can be, the soulmate can be any two people who happen to cause the other to evolve,
Okay.
either by or they may have, like, there are soul contracts for people who all die at the same time. Um,
Ooh, you
yeah,
say
so
something
things
because
like that. So
we're actually experiencing that in this area. Like say a husband. Well, we had one incident where the I think it was the wife that died like around that Monday, and then the husband died
and that's pretty
2 days
common.
later. Yeah, well, see, that's becoming very common.
Mhm.
I've noticed it lately. Just a situation with a young lady who passed, and uncle went to the funeral and turned around, he passed. I mean,
Mhm.
just like you
Mhm.
said,
Mhm.
so that's becoming very common.
Yeah, it's
But
becoming common.
the reason why I mentioned that, and you kind of answered the quick, because I had the other question and you pretty much was answering it. So y'all being twin flames, would y'all say that there were times where y'all was actually on the journey together? Then there were times that y'all was on your individual journeys and then happened to cross again or come together. How?
Yeah, and yeah, well, basically, because like with that, like Dad said, when we were kids, we were in the same neighborhood. I didn't know who he was. Of course, I didn't know he'd be my husband or anything like that. He didn't know I'd be his wife. But our paths crossed, and
We did. It
then we
really
came
did.
back
That really
together.
happened for real.
But the difference in the soulmate and the twin flames is that the soulmates are two souls that come together, but the twin flames is one soul that's split in two.
I told her, I said, where you find out that me and you brothers and sisters?
Dad, you
It's
nuts.
a little late for that
Well, it's too late. It
because you
could.
sleep with me.
Y'all went beyond the stage of kissing cousins.
Oh, she said, she finally admitted. She finally admitted. She said, I sleep with her.
It's a little late for
S-
that. But
and the reason why I said that, because like I said, helping some individuals in the area of relationship. One of the things that I noticed in the I don't want I don't want to keep using the word church, because even the presentation of that word has been erroneous, and so I
yeah,
don't even want to misidentify that term. So I'll say religious in the predominant religious Christian sector. I say it that way.
yeah,
Um, I don't even want to use that word, but anyway, I've noticed that when it comes to relationships, whether it be they're married or friends or whatever, like we said earlier, they have a tendency to be so judgmental.
hmm
And in the midst of them being so judgmental, they do not allow individuals to take their separate journeys or separate paths. to, you know, being enlightened or on their spiritual journey. And that's why I asked you guys that, because I noticed people that will not allow, and I'll use married couples that will not allow that individual to go on their own individual journey of enlightenment or awakening or whatever you want to say. It's a lot of friction. It's a lot of confrontation.
Well, see, now with Dad and myself, we never, even though I'd say we were both probably experiencing our salvation experience around the same time. Everything kind of happened around the same time with us. But we have never put God between the two of us.
Oh, he would get beat up.
we would never put God or the Bible, the Word, in between the two of us. We never
and we've seen that split up a lot of couples too.
We've never used that. We never used that on one another. We didn't even force one another. We didn't even look for each other to pray together. We didn't.
I tried to get her to come in the closet with me, but she did one time and got in trouble.
That was not to pray.
We got in trouble in the closet.
Yeah, but so
unsanctified my closet.
So it's almost like we've had our individual journey. You know what I'm saying? She's had his, and I've had mine, and it just so happens they blend.
The Lord saw us in the closet.
But we've never lorded over one another how they ought to do, what they ought to do spiritually.
I told the Lord he went to get out of the closet.
And that is what I've been explaining to various couples. You have to allow them to go on their individual journeys. All right. Because now you're trying to force them to go down a path that you went down, but that may not be their path.
That's right.
We all may end up at the same destination, but there are various paths. And so I noticed that again, and I'll say this, going back to the church, I'll say it this time. I've noticed that where there is so much conflict, and I'm seeing it even more as, you know, we've been hearing our nation is more divided than it's ever been. Where I've seen amongst the church, the people, they're more divided than they've ever been before. And it's all because you're trying to make them go down the path you went down and not allow them to have their own self-discovery.
Right.
See, if you don't allow me to have my own self-discovery, then if I'm on your path, I'm not discovering me, I'm discovering you.
So it's been kind of like that's true. And so we've never done that with each other. So it's been, but it feels like we've gone separate directions in a lot of areas. But then in the end result, it would come right back to the same
that path
destination.
Exactly.
And I think that's because our intent, his intent and my intent was the same. His intent was to know God and to live that and embody that. My intent was the same. So the destination we'd end up in the same place.
Which means you have brought a deeper understanding of when Paul talked about being unequally yoked with unbelievers.
Yeah.
And see, if people got to understand, that's not talking about just marriage. All right. That's not talking about that. And so just like you just said, you and Dad, y'all both had the same intent. Like you said, y'all may have been on a journey together for a while, may have their cross again, all because of y'all having the same intent.
We never really studied together or prayed together. We didn't do that, did we?
We tried it, but it didn't work.
We tried it when?
Long time ago. That's before Columbus sailed.
You think we tried it? I don't think we tried it.
That was way before Columbus and Magellan and discovering America.
So if one of us didn't pray, it didn't bother the other one. It just, or one did spend time praying, it didn't bother the other one. So it's always it's like we've remained an individual, even though we're
Anonymous
couple,
benefactor.
even though we're a couple.
We are
Ex-
anonymous benefactor.
But
Exactly.
people looking on would think, we do everything together. We do kinda, but we don't kinda, because sometimes here in the house, I'm on one end of the house and he's on the other, and it be like that for hours, doesn't it?
Sometime all day.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
He's doing what he wants, and I'm doing what I want.
Well, that's the way it goes, I
Yeah,
guess.
but enlightenment, uh, I don't think people can put their finger on it or pat answer. And Dad said it very well. It's simply seeing things differently. All of a sudden, you see yourself differently. You see other people differently. You see life situations
Here's an
differently.
enlightenment. Whether perfect or imperfect in the personality, identity, or the finite self, the enlightenment is we are still the eternal essence of God. And whether things are thinking good or feeling bad,
Mm,
you wake up to the point to where you can forgive people, not with your personality or your memory or forcing it. You know now that your forgiveness is his forgiveness, and all you have to do is think about, well, my Christ self, I've already forgiven him, and so
yeah,
I can forgive him
yeah.
with the memories of what they did to you. That to me is waking up.
I can go through the motions and still have. I can forgive and still have the feeling of they don't deserve it. I can
Hmm.
forgive and still feel like they were wrong.
Hmm.
Uh, so those feelings will be there, but that doesn't have anything to do with your forgiveness.
And that is a very good point, because a lot of times people don't understand. They mix that up with forgiveness. I can
Mhm.
forgive, but I won't forgive, because you still yet focusing on the emotional part. And so you have to be able to choose to see that and detach yourself, realizing, okay, I may still feel that, but I've
Mhm.
actually walking in forgiveness. All
And
right.
some people think when they forgive, they're condoning what happened, and that's not what you're doing. Yeah,
That's
you're
exactly right.
simply releasing yourself from the toxic energy of
Mhm.
hate and anger and all of that. That's what forgiveness is.
Exactly. That's good. That's good. That's
So I
good.
took her to be my unlawful wedded wife.
Unlawful.
Unlawful wedded wife.
Unlawful.
To
I,
have and to hold until I kill it one day.
ain't that nasty?
Am I going? Are you worried about it?
Yes.
You worried?
I'm gonna kiss. I'm gonna sleep with my eyes open now. You like sneak up on me in my sleep at night.
You think so?
Yeah. Mhm.
What that dog
The
say?
dog said,
Say,
and he took
and,
my toy.
mhm.
Yeah.
That's a private joke, yo. Private.
Yeah, we know, because I have no clue.
Yeah.
I'm an outsider looking in.
All right, let me give you another phrase that I did pick up on, that I wrote down. He said, we as humans are energy fields that are wired to wake up to our true nature. So we're all wired
Now listen to
for
this
that.
one on a conjunction, adjective conjunction. We are every name that God is,
Mhm.
knowing or unknowing, through beingness of my
Mm,
Lord.
mm, mm.
We
Hmm.
are everything, every name that is named to God is named to us. But if you go back to brick and mortar, King James Version, and study of any miracle course in writing, you're going to talk yourself out of it. I stay in that 24/7 because it's been settled. The dust has been
Mhm,
settled.
mhm,
I don't care how bad you feel, how short you are, how tall you are, how ugly you are, how pretty you are. That does not interfere with every name that God has named. We are it.
mhm,
And that's an enlightenment to me. I never thought, I thought maybe, well, I may not
That was
be
an
what I used to
aha.
be, but I
Yeah,
know I ain't. You know, I may not be what I used to be and all that, but I know I haven't arrived. It's always this thing. Nobody's perfect, but I found out there is a perfect us.
everyone is perfect.
Everyone has a perfect essence of the Christ self,
Everyone is. I say it like this: everyone is
with
perfect,
the mistakes
perfectly imperfect.
and the lies of personality.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Personality is an illusion.
It's
We don't even have to
fictitious.
mention that no more. It don't even
Fictitious.
work.
Yeah.
Personality don't even work when it comes down to forgiveness. Oh yeah, but if you forgive, you forget. Well, I ain't forgot. I ain't forgot because the mind don't forget.
It does
It
not.
does not
It
forget
does not forget
until
unless it's got Alzheimer's.
it'll forget for the season. Then all of a sudden it'll say, Didn't she just cuss me out a few minutes ago?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he just tell me to kiss him where the sun don't shine? Oh my God.
And that's funny
But
that's what I
that
tell
then you slip out of
people,
joint.
don't forget.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you don't.
I tell them all the time. I said, whoever came up with that statement, you ain't gonna forget.
And don't take but a little bit you to say too much and it'll come up again.
Mhm. That's
Yep,
called a trigger. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's something about the monkey might keeps repeating the scene over and over and over and over and over and over. And you know good well the mind is doing that to itself.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
A mind that thinks bad about itself is the mind thinking bad of itself.
I heard it
Has
said.
nothing to do with our true identity.
I heard it said that once you see who you really are, that you'll have the answer to everything. You'll
Oh,
know everything. That because we often will look at other teachers and we say, how did they come up with that? How did they say it like that?
Mm-hmm.
And we realize that when you see it clearly, you can say it.
Mm-hmm.
here's a good one. There's no difference between the sender and that which was sent.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to the personality, you would say, if he is saved and he know God, the woods must be full of them. Yeah, I done found out the wood can be full of any ugly thing, but but that don't mean you have to go out there and act like a monkey. The monkey is not us.
But the thing is, we often think that if the whole world was enlightened, there would be no people that were unkind, no people that would do anything. But in order for love to appear, there has to be a contrast. In order for anything good to appear, there has to be a contrast for it to show up because this is the world of duality. In this world, you won't know light unless there was darkness. You won't
Exactly.
know you won't know kindness unless there is uh, a lot of meanness. And so there has to be that contrast dimension in this
Mm-hmm.
dimension. However, we don't have to live in the low energy levels of that of negativity and hate and bitterness and all of that. You don't have to live there.
Negativity and negativity is the same, and that could be for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
White, polka dot with stripe, black or white. That could be anything. Um, we are now at a point where things are beginning to see through our eyes from the Christ seeing who it is that we're talking to on the phone, on this class, in this class. I am very much aware, which I wasn't from the beginning, if there was ever a beginning. I'm very much aware of who is listening to these
Mhm,
conversations.
mhm,
My
mhm,
Lord blesses my
mhm,
Lord.
mhm,
We bless
mhm.
each other's lordship, and
Yeah.
blessings are multiplying on all of us 24/7 in waking up awareness.
Mhm. So when you talk about contrast, what we're seeing is a very strong contrast right now because of things that are happening in our country. There's a divided America,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and it feels like it's falling apart. But in order for the evolution of a kinder, more wise, more compassionate species to show up, then all of the darkness has to show up as well. And
Exactly.
so it's not Not something I like, but it is necessary. It's
Hmm. Exactly.
and it's doing its job. It's doing what it's supposed to do. I said this to baby yesterday. Uh, I don't like what's happening in our government. I don't really agree with a lot of the decisions that are being made and how they're being made and what's happening to a lot of people. Um, but I sent light and love to my president
Hmm.
because I realize that my resentment won't change him. My resentment won't change
It
the
will
government.
actually, it will,
My resentment, yeah,
it will
won't
actually
change
fuel him.
the party.
And that's somebody new.
I've seen Latoya on here before.
Okay.
Hey, Latoya, I'm glad you're here, sweetie. So yeah, so I send light and love to him because I want healing for him.
Hmm.
I want healing for him so that it will heal all of the rest of the world.
Yeah, and that's what I share with everybody. One, if they do the opposite of what he's doing, like you said, you sending love and healing, whatever, because if you walk in this area of resentment and coming, that's
It
negative.
avoids the system.
And anger.
Need the negative energy that he's walking in. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I have served impeachment papers on my false identity.
All
I
right.
have.
All
I've
right.
served impeachment through the Congress and the session of the House. That this personality that we believe is us is
Is,
no longer existing. It is only a figment of the mind's imagination.
exactly.
now,
Exactly.
when I said I send light and love, that doesn't mean my feelings follow suit.
Oh,
Oh no.
My feelings do not follow suit, but I speak from that I am and not from my feelings.
and that's a very good point, Mom. When you are able to discern
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
your true self from your feelings, that's where you have to. It's almost like when Paul made the statement about the struggle he was having
Mm-hmm.
within himself in Romans chapter 6.
He was having an aha moment.
Is
Mm-hmm.
exactly, and so I think that's what people have to understand, that yes, you say the right thing, you're showing the love. I understand, I forgive this and that and that, but those feelings are going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
But
but don't
yeah,
let your feelings try
yeah,
to
yeah.
speak to you to tell you this is who you really are.
Right. So I am I have enough discernment now to know that when those feelings are there, not that they aren't valid. There are a lot of reasons why people should feel the way they do.
Mm-hmm.
They're valid. However, I realize that I must speak from the level of consciousness that I am and not from what my feelings resonate. And so
Exactly.
that I make a decision with my discernment to live as that conscious being that lives and walks in that love and is that love and then can overpower any evil with that love. And so I
Exactly.
choose to come from that place, not because I'm trying to be good, not
Mm-hmm.
because I'm trying to change anybody, but I've got to speak from that place. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna, and if it's gonna do any good at all, I've got to speak from that I truly am. I like what Robert's saying. He
Yeah, I was
says
going to say that.
we emit energy, so resentment we have for someone can interfere with that person being their best self. Exactly.
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 Latoya said something. Am I wrong for thinking everything that happens to me is for a reason? Let's say it like this. In your divine eternal essence, the law of right and wrong is balanced out through seeing that there is no judgment. Even the question or statement that you're making, that is a judgment that does not exist, even though it seems like it does in your statement. But as you move into this, you will find out that whether it works together for good or not, it does not disturb your last little nerve. your baby nerve, or your teenage nerve, or your fully grown nerve, or your old time hickory box, kickaboo juice nerve. It don't even bother because you find out that you set this up, every bit of it. That on my paper, I said this: we all came through the invisible college of wisdom from the other side. I had a chance to fly over campus where very enlightened beings were in school getting ready to come here to lose their memories and get it back of where we all came from in this dimension. Our
Mm,
Melchizedek ancient memory is stored up in our finite mind, but beyond the finite mind, it is stored up as an identity of our real self. The real self does not weigh things the way the ego mind does. It's no way. The potential of your divine self is reaching beyond the walls of
mhm,
asking any question. And you also find out that whatever there's a question, there's an answer. But it's not always with words, it's not always with feeling, it's not always with things working a certain way. It is an answer that is so phenomenal that words cannot describe it.
I
mhm,
want to address what Latoya said too. Everything, and for me, uh, I don't know if everything that happens is for a reason, but I stopped asking why this is happening.
mhm,
I'm not asking that question anymore. Why is this happening? Um, I'll give you an example. We just this week past, we I was making bread, and all of a sudden, how did we have the men coming over about the roof? We saw a place on our roof. This is it.
Mhm.
We saw a place on our roof that looked puffy,
Mhm.
which they call a blister in the roof world.
Mhm.
And so we were thinking, man, it must be leaking up there. So the baby got on the phone and got some guys over here, got one guy over here.
Had
He
4 people
come in,
come.
he came in, roofing guy came in, uh, and he went all up in the attics and everywhere, and he came back with these gross pictures. Now I'm making bed, making bread while he's telling me about what's going on in our house. And he's saying that if this isn't corrected, the structural beams are going to rot out and you're going to have some real serious problems. And he's more than one place, all through the house, up in the attics. And so here we have these gross pictures of wet wood and all of this stuff. And he says he'll have to give us a quote to do the roof. But in the meantime, he was going to run our credit. Well, I knew that we were already over
Limit.
overwhelmed with debt enough where we probably wouldn't qualify. So he ran it, and of course, it didn't go through. So we had another guy came out. Another guy came out because we wanted a second opinion. He went up there, did the same thing, took pictures and all this. So here we were thinking, okay, we're going to have to somehow come up with at least $15,000 to replace a roof that's only been on there five years. Now
what?
listen. So lo and behold, as you say, we contact the ones who put it on, right? Well, in the meantime, we realized we didn't really have a contract with these people. It, there was a warranty on the shingles, but we didn't have a contract with the roofers themselves. So, but we called him, and he came over, and he went all through the house and went up there and looked at it, and he come back and he says, "There's no water anywhere. It's dry as a bone." So here we're looking at each other like, "What?" And so he says, "I promise you, it's not wet up there. It's just," he said, "it's just stains.
Well, it used to be a
There
leak.
used to be a leak before we had the roof put on." So we don't know if he's telling the truth or if the other guys are telling the truth, because we know he probably doesn't want to fix it, and they want to fix it because they want some money.
Mhm.
So here we are. We're like, we told him, He said, I don't have any reason to lie to you. It's really dry. And we looked at him and said, well, I just don't know. Baby said, I don't know who to believe. And I touched him on his heart. I said, you promise, you solemnly swear that it's dry up there. And he kind of got defensive
He did.
because we didn't believe him. We didn't know. We didn't think we couldn't believe him because we didn't know if we had two people say it was wet up there.
Exactly.
And lo and behold, we found out it was not
Well,
wet up
what
there.
happened? It started
It was
raining.
not what?
It's not wet up there.
It's not wet. If it was, it would have come through the floor and we would have seen it in the ceiling.
Yeah, and
But
so
it rained like two cows peeing on a flat rock. So while they was peeing on the flat rock and it's raining, I went up in the attic uh, with careful steps. I wasn't supposed to do it, but I did.
told him to be sure-footed.
I went back up there when it was pouring down raining. It's like the heavens opened and every cow on the farm peed on that flat rock. So I went up there and I had forgotten I had buckets up there to catch the water once before. Bucket was dry. All three buckets was dry. I felt where it was supposed to have been wet, looked like it was wet, was not wet.
So we found out it was not wet.
Was nothing
I
wrong with
said
it.
all of that to say this to Latoya. I don't know the reason we went through all of that, but I can tell you this. That was the best bread I ever made because I beat the out of it.
I believe she baked it while she was.
I needed
I
the,
believe she baked it in the.
pardon my French, I needed the hell out of that bread.
That is funny. That is funny. We just think about you.
You mad? She's mad. That's a mad bread.
There was a period,
Mad bread.
there was a period of time between the ones who took pictures and said it was wet and the one who came out and said it was absolutely dry. There was a period of time where we just had to say, okay, whatever. We really came to that point. Okay, whatever. And so it I don't know if that was a test of our enlightenment or what, but I don't ask the question anymore. I just don't ask.
That's
It is it is it is what life in this earth plane is like.
So enlightenment is being able to see through and look at
Mhm.
and pay attention to what is really reacting to when it's good or when it's bad, to not be moved by good or bad, and remain stable in your true identity as the eternal Christ self.
Yeah.
that's
That's
good.
true.
I believe that
Everybody
was
go to church to find out what God's will is. I don't look for it anymore. I don't go to church to get something from God. I don't pray to get anything. I don't ask God to do anything, fix anything.
And we
Our
kind of
conversation is doing that.
and we kind of got to a place where, okay, if that's the case, then there must be an answer for this. There must be a way out of this. Nothing arises in our lives that there is not a solution for. It is always a solution for it. And so, or I could say it in a religious manner, there is nothing that we will encounter that God won't take care of.
That's right.
that's it.
And it's just like I mentioned this week, I got tests coming up in the morning, and the $500 that's going to take to do it has started coming in, but it's not completed. But we need that extra cash to take the test because that's the copay.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
We've got enough
But
for
I
that.
thank you guys for sending it in anyhow because we still got to go through the test. So that's the way the school is.
That's life in the earth plane.
This is not a judgment hall, what we are in. It's a school. And the school.
It's not a court, it's a school.
And please understand, all of you guys, you have already passed the test and the grades. What has passed the test is the Christ that you are, that he's never failed. You cannot fail in your true identity. But when you slip out of it, you get retained.
Mm-hmm.
Your retainer fee comes up. And you're going to have to stop taking yourself to court for everything that don't feel like you are the winner.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You are a winner with or without feelings.
Yeah.
Glory, hallelujah.
Yeah.
I thank the Lord for that. It's settled.
and
It's settled.
yeah, Pearl, they did take pictures and show it to us, sweetie.
They did.
They took pictures, but it was all stains and not real wet wood.
Now we can use the money to pay whatever you guys send in. We can use it to take care of the copay for the medical expenses. That's it.
But see, that could be the explanation right there, as far as y'all did not allow your emotions to take
Oh,
full.
it went crazy.
We
And
felt it. Like I said, I beat the hell out of that bread.
But I mean, but there's a difference from feeling it and exhibiting it. All
Yeah.
right. You see what I'm saying? I'm thinking about me. Okay, I probably would have exhibited, all right, anger, frustration, or I would have been like truly upset. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. The lesson, like almost like what Paul said, be angry but sin not.
You're not.
You have the right to be angry and feel that way, but
Mhm.
don't exhibit it in a way that would be chaotic.
I'll put it like this: you sometimes you can't help but exhibit it, but
Yeah, that's true.
I think the sinning part means don't hurt nobody when you do exhibit it. That's so do no
The
harm. That's
lesson is
the
take it
thing.
out on the bread.
Yeah, take it out on the bread. That's it. That's it.
But that bread, when she put it in the stove and come out, it was the
Yeah,
prettiest
the
bread.
prettiest bread.
And let me make y'all laugh. Let me make y'all laugh. This never fails. Uh, my mom called me when I was at the gym, and she was talking about that, making bread. I said, "Well, Mom, go ahead and make bread. You a baker?" And I mean, literally, just not too long ago, she was like, "I don't know if I'm gonna make bread or not." You know, Daddy William used to make bread. I said, "Yeah, I remember Daddy William used to make the bread and stuff like that."
It's an art. It really is an art, and I know now I've got to start journaling because a couple of times I made it and it was perfect, and then a few times I've made it and it either rose good and didn't taste good, or it didn't rise but it tasted good. So
Yeah.
it's like I'm finding the balance. I need to write down when I do make it how I made it that time, and that then I can duplicate it. But yeah, it's an art. It really is. So I've been doing it for how long? Have I been doing it now? For about 2 months.
Mhm.
So I haven't bought bread from the store in over 2 months.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow.
But
Uh-oh.
now, thank you guys for tuning in to us today.
Yeah, we've been talking a long time today.
And thank you for chewing the fat with us.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for being faithful, determined, and under God's direction. Send us something to Pastor Norman and to us to help us keep going. Just
Yeah.
like we said about the roof.
And remember to
Yes,
hit the
it
like
has a
button.
it has a purpose, but the purpose is the glory of God.
Mhm,
For this cause came us into this world
mhm,
to talk to the Christ and each other. That's why we
mhm.
came here.
Yeah, yeah.
In a world where people don't want to talk to God except for they say, let's, oh, Heavenly Father, we come to you the most honest way we know how. I done dropped that. I don't come, and he don't come. We are already here.
Pass me not, oh gentle Savior.
Oh, hear my
My
prayer.
little cry.
I tried my best. I tried my best to name everything I could name that was sin, and I never come to the end. I'll tell you, like the old boy said, I started, fought it from, and failed, thought I had, but I let it get away.
You're nuts. You're nuts.
Oh my
I fell
God.
back in it and got wet. So I don't even worry about it. But my mind does. I found out the mind worries, it'll fret,
Yeah.
it's impatient, it's sharp, it's critical.
Mhm.
Condemnation is condemnation. That's what it is, the mind. But I found out that wasn't us. That
No,
ain't
it's
me.
not. It's not.
What I am, I've always been from eternity to eternity. No dying, no birthing, except for the physical body. I must have raised hell in my mama's stomach.
She said you did.
I did, because I didn't want to turn around and come out, and I had to get a doctor to turn me, and I was late getting here. I'm always on time, but I was late then. But
Feet first.
I always say it like this. I was been wrong so long, but I'm right tonight.
Lord, Lord,
There you go. There you go.
I turn every wheel that was square to a round wheel, and everything is rolling smooth. Got it tied down on both sides, holding in the middle, and it's working too. Hot dog with less than the makers.
With lettuce and
He's on a
tomato.
roll. He's on a roll.
I'll take a rock and cook it and turn it into bread. She cooked that bread.
Yeah.
It was Pastor
was
Norman.
the
It was so
prettiest
pretty
bread.
in the pan. Lord Jesus Christ, baby Jesus, and all this good.
That bread did like the Little Rascals bread.
You say,
He said,
"Ooh."
ooh.
I remember that episode. I do.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
That
sir.
bread went woo.
Mhm.
Listen, guys, we're going to take off here. We love you. We thank you for hanging in there with us. We'll be back on Sunday at 10 if nothing happens, and the Lord willing. We'll be right back here, live and in color, and Pastor Norman will be live and in color at 9. We're live and in color at 10. And we love you. We hope you have a safe week. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night.